Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2.
Good evening. Thank you for attending the October 7th meeting of the School Board of Alachua County. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now Ms. Rollo is going to introduce our student performers.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Superintendent Patton, and district administrators. The month of October is commonly referred to as Bandtober in the band world. Marching season is in full swing with competitions on the weekends, rehearsals after school during the week, football games on Friday night. Throw in the Gator Homecoming Parade that's coming up, preparations for concert season, and field trips to our elementary schools across the district, all culminating in District Marching Music Performance Assessment on November 1st. Our band directors and their students are very busy this time of year. I'm very grateful that one of our incredible directors and a few of his students are here this evening to perform for us. Tonight, we welcome the Brass Quintet from Buchholz High School band program under the direction of Noah Graben. Special thanks to Principal Kevin Purvis, who is here to support his students this evening. Thank you. The Buchholz High School band consistently receives superior ratings at district and state festivals, and they just placed first in a marching competition this past weekend in Orlando. This year is extra special for the Buchholz Band as they have been selected for two very prestigious performing opportunities. The first will take place at the Florida Music Education Association, otherwise known as FMEA, annual conference in Tampa this coming January. The Wind Symphony was selected to perform for the President's Concert, which opens the convention every year, where one band, one chorus, and one orchestra from the state are selected to perform. In April, the Wind Symphony will travel to New York City to perform at Carnegie Hall as part of the National Band and Orchestra Festival, where they will work with some of the nation's top conductors. Heartfelt congratulations to Mr. Graben and the Buchholz Band on these incredible achievements. And this is Mr. Graben right behind me. The Buchholz Brass Quintet will perform the Allegro Vivace movement from Quintet for Brass by Malcolm Arnold and the Carmen Suite for Brass Quintet by Georges Bizet, arranged by Bill Holcomb. They also have a special surprise piece for us at the very end. Our performers today are William Bigger and Mei Lee Young on trumpet, Zachary Bryan on French horn, Jack Wiggins on trombone, and Jude Ranvestel on tuba. Please welcome the Buchholz High School Brass Quintet.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, ready, go.
That was absolutely fantastic. Our students definitely deserve that standing ovation. On behalf of the board and the superintendent, I want to thank the students from the Buchholz Brass Quintet. That was fabulous. And their director, Noah Graben, and also Principal Purvis and his entire administrative team and all of the Buchholz staff, and of course, all of the parents who are here supporting their students. Your support of the arts means the world to our district. Thank you again. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Patton for our district highlights.
So I want to thank our communication department. And tonight we have both our highlights of our district schools throughout the month since we met last month as a board, and also a special treat of our inaugural Safety and Security Countywide meeting. That meeting was held with our Sheriff of Alachua County, the City of Gainesville Police, along with our other municipalities and all of the fire marshals. So join me in watching both our district highlights and our first of future safety and security meetings countywide. So it's important that we use our collective intelligence, and in particularly, this was everyone's absolute passion, their knowledge. So to be able to capture their knowledge to help us decide what our next steps are that then collectively help our safety for the entire community and county.
When you're talking about the safety of our kids, we all need to be on the same page. You know, ideas that we haven't thought of, someone is going to bring up an idea that we need to think about. You know, we can train and do things that, you know, that we think we should be doing. But I think when you bring everybody to the table, it makes a difference.
So for all of us to get on the same page and operate from a same response protocol, that begins here in this room with us communicating.
Extremely important. I think that the needs expressed by the agencies were such that will significantly improve the security and safety of our campuses.
When you look at the number of ideas and how we prioritize them as a group, absolutely nothing but good things can come out of a meeting like this.
Really appreciate the superintendent's leadership in bringing us all together so we can have these discussions to talk about the different situations that could happen in Alachua County. We, more than anything else, want to be ready for those and be prepared. We certainly want a safe community, we want a safe school system. And so I think there's an enormous amount of value to bring all the leaders in of these different agencies together to have these discussions that need to be had.
Thank you, Dr. Patton. Thank you, Ms. Johnson and Mr. Oren, for that presentation. Now, we have a very special guest with us today. I'd like to warmly welcome our Florida Commissioner of Education, Anastasios Kamoutsas, who joined us this evening. Commissioner Kamoutsas, would you like to come to the podium and say a few words?
Well, good evening, Chair Rockwell and members of the Alachua County School Board. I wish I was here under better circumstances, but unfortunately, if I'm being frank, I'm outraged. I'm outraged by the toxic culture, the pattern of intimidation, and the dereliction of duty that this board has repeatedly demonstrated. The First Amendment, state law, parents' rights have been violated and frequently ignored by the Alachua County School Board. Parents who have dared to voice their concerns at board meetings have been forcibly removed in violation of their constitutional rights. Meanwhile, board members behave as if the law doesn't apply to themselves. This is unacceptable in any public institution, but it is especially egregious in our schools, where accountability, transparency, and professionalism are non-negotiable. The State Board of Education delivered clear and formal directives to you, Chair Rockwell, and Vice Chair Surton at the August State Board meeting. There, the State Board used its oversight authority to order the board to update its First Amendment policies, to receive training on those First Amendment policies, and to ensure compliance with the First Amendment. The Alachua County School Board was also informed that their future meetings would be monitored by Florida Department of Education staff, who we have here today. One would expect that, at a minimum, the board would proceed with caution and professionalism. Yet, at the very next meeting on September 2nd, Vice Chair Surton openly cast doubt on the legitimacy of the State Board of Education's findings and recommendations. Rather than lead by example, Vice Chair Surton chose to publicly question the process while serving as the acting chair. She also could not maintain professionalism or decorum at the meeting, according to Department employee Dusty Sims at the Bureau of School Improvement. And it didn't stop there. Following the memorial service of Charlie Kirk, she posted a disturbing and inflammatory comment on social media referring to Charlie Kirk as a 31-year-old uneducated white boy, just days after his tragic assassination on a school campus. And still, to my knowledge, there has been no apology issued by Vice Chair Surton. Think, how do your words impact students? How do they impact the employees and the staff and the teachers in the Alachua County School District? You have repeatedly brought negative attention to this school district because of your selfish acts. That post came after I sent a letter to all superintendents and teachers in our state emphasizing the importance of their role over students, young impressionable minds who are seeing adults not lead by example, by celebrating violence in a school shooting, by endorsing, by glorifying a school shooter. That is a terrible example for our youth. Vice Chair Surton has been a member of this board since 2018. She was on the board when it refused to comply with COVID laws. She was on the board when a student was awarded the most likely to be a dictator and did nothing. There is a pattern of behavior that you have demonstrated that is unacceptable. If the Alachua County School Board members are willing to act in this manner, while under the active scrutiny of the State Board of Education and FDOE staff, what happens when we're not watching? Your school district grade is a B, and you have 4 D schools in this district. That's nearly 10% of your schools. Why are you not prioritizing your students? Instead, your public service is about yourself and your selfish acts. The State Board of Education and I will continue to monitor the Alachua County School Board until it complies with the law, protects parental rights, and ensures that every student is put first and that every citizen is treated with the respect and the dignity that they are entitled to. I'm determined to change the culture of intimidation and neglect of duty here in Alachua County. Teachers, students, and parents deserve a better board. Vice Chair Surton, I will see you at our November State Board of Education meeting, where you will be asked some very difficult questions and have to explain why it is that you believe you're fit to serve the residents of Alachua County. But until then, I recommend you govern yourself accordingly. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Kamoutsas, and thank you for joining us this evening. Now I'm going to recognize Attorney Delaney with our decorum.
Good evening. During the School Board of Alachua County's business meetings, reasonable decorum is required during all portions of the meeting. Conduct that disrupts or interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting is not allowed. Any individual or individuals causing disruption or interference will be asked to stop. Failure to comply may result in removal from the meeting. The school board encourages speakers to focus on issues and constructive input. The school board impartially receives all public comments. Comments that are obscene, abusive, or threatening are not allowed. Thank you for supporting a respectful environment where all voices can be heard. For additional information, the school board's policy regarding public comment is available online.
Thank you, Attorney Delaney. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda prior to adoption? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Ms. Surden. Is there a second? Second by Dr. McNeely. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. At this time, we will open the floor to public comment. Each speaker will have up to 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the record. We ask that speakers maintain respect and decorum so that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. Please refrain from applause, outbursts, or calling out during comments so that the meeting may proceed in an orderly manner. Thank you for your cooperation. Ms. Johnson, are there any public comments on non-agenda items?
Yes, ma'am, there are several. Our first 3 speakers are Kristen Main, Elizabeth Husband, and Peggy Vermont. If you would please line up at the podium.
My name is Kristen Main. I'm a social studies teacher at Lofton High School. I've worked for the district for 5 years. At the start of the school year, I had 38 freshmen in a classroom with 28 desks for 2 weeks. Sections were held back at the district level, which meant that students were packed into fewer classes than was appropriate or manageable. This didn't just create logistical stress, it directly impacted my students' ability to learn and my ability to teach. I'm 3 days behind where I was last year. When class sizes exceed reasonable limits because staffing decisions are delayed or restricted, students are the ones that ultimately pay the price. On top of that, we're operating in a state of uncertainty when it comes to leadership. The district has not begun the hiring process for a new superintendent. I know it's been a busy year, but the temporary superintendent continues to implement new policies that dramatically increase our workload as teachers. These changes are happening without long-term leadership in place and without meaningful communication or collaboration with the people doing the work in the schools. I urge the board to take 3 actions. Address class size issues proactively next year by releasing needed sections before students are placed into overcrowded rooms. Please begin a timely and transparent superintendent search so our district isn't drifting without a permanent leader while these major policies are being rolled out. And please ensure that any policy changes affecting teachers are developed with educator input and are implemented responsibly rather than being rushed out. I know that every single teacher in this district cares deeply about our students and their needs, and I know you guys do too, regardless of what others might think. And I hope that this feedback can help our students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Please, no applause.
Good evening, Dr. Patton, school board members. My name is Elizabeth Husband, and as you know, I frequently attend school board meetings because as a retired educator, grandmother, and great-grandmother of school-aged children, I believe in public education. and I want to continue advocating for children, the cause to which I have dedicated my life. Thank you, board members, for making the hard decisions you are facing every day in these challenging times. A few years ago, I volunteered as a court-appointed special advocate for an LGBTQ+ foster child. That experience proved to me what I have always believed, that a welcoming and supportive school environment matters. For that child, school was one of the few places where they felt safe and seen. When teachers and administrators created a space of belonging, it made a real difference in that child's ability to learn, to build friendships, and to believe in their future. That is one reason I encourage you to continue supporting all students, every background, every family, every identity. When we ensure every child feels respected, represented, and included, we give them the foundation they need to thrive. Thank you again for your continued commitment to making Alachua County schools places where all children are valued and can succeed.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, my name is Dr. Peggy Vermont. I'm here to support Tina Certain and free speech. I have 2 children in Alachua County schools, and I have worked in Union County schools for over 20 years. Union County is one of the most conservative counties in the state. It doesn't adhere to the separation of church and state. The superintendent refers to it as God's country. There are Bibles given to teachers at the start of each year. My boss has a Bible on her desk. They pray at every event and every meal. I love Union County. I love its people. I'm an atheist. I do not believe in God at all. I don't pray ever. I don't believe in organized religion, and I think it's used to manipulate people. I'm probably their most liberal employee. I've never voted Republican in my life. I don't support Trump, DeSantis, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Kirk, or any of those people. Interestingly enough, my coworkers in Union County don't care about my politics because we're all focused on supporting teachers and staff, which is exhausting every day. Many of my coworkers follow me on Facebook. They know my personal beliefs, and they know it doesn't impact my job or my friendships with them. In fact, I had a sticker on my car that said Trump lies for 4 years. I work at every school, so everyone saw it when I parked my car outside of the school. So instead of acting, anyway, I had no pushback from that, no issues. I never got reprimanded in any way because freedom of speech. So instead of acting like Hitler's Gestapo over people's personal thoughts and beliefs, how about the FDOE, Timmy Martin over here, the commissioner and the public really focus on what's wrong with our public schools, like the threats of gun violence, low reading and math scores, teacher pay, conversion charter schools, illegal ones at that, and vouchers eradicating public education. I wanted to tell the commissioner, I know he left, but the only thing that's unacceptable is himself, and he really needs to be a little more self-reflective on the words. If he came here to talk about free speech, then he should actually.
Thank you for your comments.
Madam Chair, our next 3 speakers are Jane Spear, Donna Waller, and Tina Days. Please come to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Jane Spear. I have attended school board meetings for the last 3 years, and during that time, I have seen firsthand the work of this board. Thank you for the dedication and knowledge of everyone, including the district staff and employees. I want to acknowledge that we realize you are in a difficult position. As we move through the coming months, we ask that you continue to be reasonable and retain your commitment to supporting and protecting all students. Please maintain your stance in holding the line in the face of implied threats, and please do not censor, or over-comply, which confuses teachers and students alike. And both those groups need clarity in order to have successful teaching and learning. Thank you for working to maintain high-quality teachers while so many are stepping away from this vital profession. As such, I urge you to back Ms. Watt. Several board meetings ago, a group of students spoke about Ms. Watt, explaining that the issue in question was created and driven by students alone. They also shared their respect for her excellence in teaching. Please listen to these students and the students whose parents gave them permission to speak to anyone investigating the incident. As we know, our school board is nonpartisan, so let's keep politics out of our decision. Let's keep doing the right thing by not caving into those with a strong political agenda.
Thank you for your comments.
Excuse me. I'm Donna Waller, and I'm wearing two hats tonight. One is as a representative of the League of Women Voters chapter, and the other is as my career as a college professor teaching American history for about 100 years. And I first want to say, I know you folks are probably exhausted with all of this, but you are really engaged in a magnificent enterprise. So when you get tired, try to remember that public schools are one of the things that have made America great historically. It's one of our gifts to the world. So here you are contributing to it, and thank you. Now, as a League representative, I want to tell you that the League always stands for home rule. And we understand perfectly that you folks are in the position you're in because much about local control has been taken away by the state. And I'm really sorry that their representative didn't stay to hear this. And we will stand behind you forever as you struggle for local control of our school system. And as a former political science professor, I want to tell you the First Amendment applies to you folks too. You did not give it up when you got elected to public service. And I greatly admire your courage.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Tina Days, and I have 3 kids at the school system. I wish the commissioner would have stayed because he need to be worrying about that teacher that's gone viral and called a 6-year-old happy birthday monkey. So she should be at that meeting in November. I'm coming at this Charlie Kirk situation differently. I really did not know this person, unfortunately, until after he died. When I did a little research and found out what he said, and I was extremely appalled. He does have the First Amendment to say what he wanted to say while he was living. And let me be clear, he should not have been murdered. I dare say nobody has the right to tell people how to feel about this person because of the things that he had said have hurt a lot of people. He said that Dr. King should not have had a holiday and that he was not a great man. He said that George Floyd was a scumbag. He said that he would not fly on airplanes if there were black pilots because they were probably DEI hires. I believe that Dr. King family, even George Floyd family, which included a young daughter, will feel differently towards Mr. Kirk. I will end with this. And I also believe that his family is hurting. But does him being murdered disregard everything that he said while he was living? Because he have hurt a lot of people. And how can someone tell somebody how to act based on the words that he said while he was living? I don't think you could tell people that right, because people not going to understand. People are going to say, yes, he should not have been murdered, but he said some hurtful things. And I would end with this. I could picture Mr. Kurt sitting at a table along with Dr. King, George Floyd, Emmett Till, Medgar Evers, the 3 little girls killed in the bombing on Alabama. They're discussing over there. There are no races. We are human blood. We bleed the same blood, and how they all died because of hate. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next 3 speakers are Carolina Cordero, Wrights Crispy, and Dodie Fabasi.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and all citizens present. My name is Carolina Cordero, and I've been a Gainesville resident for the past 26 years and a half. I'm not a parent, a teacher, definitely not a student, but I am a citizen with many friends who have children in the Alachua County public school system. And I am here to support the school board and recognize the hard position they're in. And I personally appreciate the work you do. I myself was once a student, long time ago, many miles away. I was an LGBTQ+ student, trying to understand my own identity. Completely unable to tell anyone, and if I did, I would be petrified and scared if anybody found out and if I was singled out. Still, I was bullied because I like to play with girls and do girly things. But now, we live in a present tense in accounting with a wonderful board who has an important role in the interactive formation of students to make schools more inclusive, not less. We need clarity and not singling out LGBTQ+ students because it is unfair, discriminatory, and harmful. And the hostile environment it creates undermines a student's sense of belonging and in the end will impact the student's academic success. This is October, LGBTQ+ History Month. Let's allow our students to learn and to celebrate their own existence. And I back the school board in every provision where LGBTQ+ students are protected for their well-being. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hey, thank you, everybody. My name's Finn, AKA Wrights Crispy, and I don't have a speech prepared. I'm just going to speak from the cuff, and let me begin by thanking all the educators in here, especially the ones who've retired and come to speak as well. Thanks for shaping our future. Education is very important to me. I feel that I'm doing my part. I couldn't be a teacher. I just couldn't afford to be a teacher. I try my best with my YouTube channel, and I focus on First Amendment rights for everyone. Now, with our rights come responsibilities. You can't go out and lie, but also think of your moral responsibility. When you say things with your right to say it, and I agree with your rights to say it, you're going to have backlash. And one thing I do on my channel is government accountability with a focus on police misconduct. And I find police and I tell them the same thing I tell my kids. The only power people have is your reaction. You could live your life as an example or as a warning. I met you, Ms. Certain, when we were on the Alachua Citizens Academy together, and I expressed my interest in our community, and I want you to know that I stand with your First Amendment right. You could have chosen other words, though, because you gave him that one. And you said it yourself. You chose your words poorly. I think an apology should suffice. Nobody from outside our community should come and try to hold you down or let us take care of our educators. Let us elect people or not elect them. Don't come in and dictate what we the people should be doing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, my name is Dottie Fabusy, resident of City of Gainesville. This will be short. I just want to remind folks, I appreciate how much the school board's going through. I voted for 4 of you up there, and I would vote for all 4 of you again. You have my support and appreciation for this very difficult situation you are in, and I will do anything I can to help you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next 3 speakers are Taylor Gilfillan, Penny Spencer, and Amy Trask. Please come to the podium.
Good evening, folks. Taylor Gilfillan, former district employee and current member of the District Advisory Council. One of the things I'm going to talk about tonight is going to be, I think, policies and solutions. We'll probably try to stay away from Facebook posts and comments. I want to talk about rezoning. Some questions I think I'm lingering with are, which schools are overcrowded, which are underutilized, and more importantly, do we know why? We heard a teacher from Lofton talk earlier about overcrowded classrooms. Some of the reasons that I know we've looked at in the past was understanding whether schools are overcrowded or under-enrolled for the Family Empowerment Scholarship, whether they're going to charters, whether they're doing zoning exemptions, if they're going to magnet, et cetera. I'm not suggesting that we should just go full ahead with rezoning right now. What I'm saying is, are we asking the questions and looking at the data and going through the processes to understand if rezoning is still what makes sense? I think about that an entire generation has been born, raised, and graduated from this school system since we drew the attendance zones last for our schools. So a couple of thoughts for the board for you to chew on tonight. Talk to your superintendent. There is, if I'm still correctly, there's still a report that I think is very easy to pull to look at enrollment and what percent capacity the school is at in terms of enrollment. Is the case there for rezoning, and how do we know? And I know there's some upcoming topics too about what the priorities and evaluation for the superintendent looks like. Consider including that as one of the things that you look at and ask of the superintendent this year. And then just finally, I know rezoning can feel like a daunting task, but I believe our students and staff deserve well-utilized, well-funded schools. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, I'm Penny Spencer. I am a recent Alachua County Public Schools retiree. I know several of you up there. We've worked together over the years. When I started in 1990, I started at Rawlings Elementary. And when I left the school district, I was at Sidney Lanier. I'd like to say that all the employees over there really love those students. And I think it's really sad that we seem to prioritize where our money goes in the district for certain programs, for just certain programs, and it's really hard to get things for our schools over at Lanier. We had an issue with our front desk, and we were challenged about why we needed it. So we were able to save enough money in our budget so that we could get one, and it was ADA compliant. Thank goodness, we'd never had one before at Sidney Lanier. So I'm proud of that we finally got one for our school. I would like to say I have done several positions since I started, from wide range of things, from truancy officer for the entire district. I worked in food service and managed all the cafeterias, and just a wide range of things. But I can't help but wonder how we got here. It seems like there's so much division, and I don't understand the comments that have been made about certain things. And I can't help but wonder if Ms. Plavick had made the same comments that 2 of our board members have made, if she would even be sitting at that chair tonight. I highly doubt that she would even be sitting there if she were the one that had made these comments. I just want to encourage you all to to please just wake up and remember why you're there.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to speak tonight out of concern and with a deep respect for the role that this board plays in shaping the future of our schools. I was raised to believe deeply in our Constitution, not just as a document, but as a working moral compass that guided how we spoke up and how we stood firm when it mattered most. The First Amendment isn't optional. It's foundational because without it, every other right becomes negotiable, every truth becomes vulnerable, and every voice risks being erased. So when public discourse becomes distorted, when private words are weaponized, and when educators are punished not for misconduct, but for expressing personal views, we all have a responsibility to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves what kind of community we're becoming and what precedents we are setting. What's happening now isn't just about one comment or one board member, it's about a pattern where state officials use their power to silence dissent, punish educators, and chill free speech. It harms our children, and it is antithetical to our rights to witness only acceptable views being tolerated. We can't afford to forget that the right to speak freely, even in ways that are unpopular or uncomfortable, has been upheld by the Supreme Court time and time again. From Tinker v. Des Moines, to Linka v. Freed, to Pickering v. Board of Education, to our Florida Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, the court has affirmed that educators don't shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. And that protection doesn't vanish because someone disagrees. It doesn't vanish because someone feels offended. It stands even when it's inconvenient. Our district has real challenges. So I want to thank this board for refusing to play along, for recognizing that the real harm comes when we allow outside actors to dictate who gets to speak, who gets to teach, who gets to lead, and who is deemed worthy of our constitutional rights. I want to thank the board for all that you've done, and please know that we stand with you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Please no applause.
Our next three speakers are Rock Abu-Judeh, Shanae Jackson, and Janet Evans. Please come to the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Rock. I'm here as a concerned citizen regarding the First Amendment. Growing up, my parents made sure I understood how fortunate we were to call these United States our home. They reminded my siblings and I that the founders of this country, imperfect though they were, they built something extraordinary. A system of government rooted in liberty, designed with the First Amendment in mind to protect our personal freedom of speech. And you may recall from our history books that our founders did not believe in a society of censorship. No, they insisted that the freedom of speech must be broad, robust, and sometimes even messy. They understood that self-government requires citizens and leaders alike to speak, to criticize, to offend, to provoke. Yes, some remarks are in poor taste, but that is not cause for a governor or a state board to wield the power to silence those whose personal views they dislike. That is exactly the danger the First Amendment was designed to guard against. And while I understand that there are issues with the remarks of Ms. Certain, to threaten her censorship or removal as a result of a private post on her social media goes against everything that we as Americans stand for. This is not the American way. This is political theater, and it's designed not to elevate discourse, but to intimidate dissenters. The rightful remedy for poor speech is better speech, rebuttal, debate, exposure, not censorship. If we set a precedent that elected officials may be disciplined, silenced, or pressured because someone in power finds their nonviolent speech offensive, we open the door to silencing all manner of voices, yours, mine, anyone who challenges the governor. And that's not the Florida I wish to live in. This should be settled by the will of the people at the election booth, not by the will of the governor or his commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
It's me. And normally I am here, and normally I am angry. Today is not that day. This has been the most comical meeting I probably have been to. The Commissioner of Education presented nothing but pure comedy. So I'm here in order to give him some comic relief, and let's talk about facts. Fact is, Florida is 47th in education. Fact is that although Alachua County is a B, it actually scored higher than 50 plus other districts. So why is it that he's not in other districts calling about what should happen? The fact is that Tina's comments were a fact. Charlie Kirk took pride in being an uneducated white boy. And so all of a sudden now we're up in disarray. We're not in disarray about what she said. We're in disarray because we're trying to silence dissent. The fact is that the Commissioner of Education is a coward, and that's the reason that he left before anybody could say anything to him. He's also a liar. There's another thing called facts. Tina does not have to go to the board meeting in November because it's a fact that he does not actually have that power. It's a fact that even as he stated that a parent was made to leave the meeting, it is on video that they chose to leave after they're the ones that created all of the issues that were actually in the meeting. These are not facts. I don't have time to give opinions. The fact is that there were 4 people on that board that were elected by us. The fact is because they were elected by us, they actually worked for us, and more of them support them than the other side. So the fact is we can go backwards and forth all day long, but the fact still remains. They're still going to be there, and doing anything outside of that is just disingenuous, especially by a governor who stole $10 million and who also is a bold-faced liar.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Janet Evans. I'm a resident of the county. I have some expertise in the area of special education, so I'd like to bring up a concern that I have regarding the staffing cuts that have been made. It's my understanding, and I'm just going to use this as an example, there's a para aide that was cut at the Alachua High School. She was a media aide who also covered as a substitute. She proctored tests, and she covered the lunchroom duty. This one person's position was cut. I'd like to say at this point that that person's salary is equal to our superintendent's total 1 month salary. We have other situations where students with special needs are not having their IEP goals met because we don't have the teachers, we don't have the therapists, and we don't have the paraprofessionals that are mandated by law on their IEPs. I compare getting the needs of these special education students met like that of wearing a seatbelt. It's not just a good idea, it's the law. Things need to happen with the decision makers on this board and the upper echelon of our personnel to make sure that these students have their needs met.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next 3 speakers are Leanne Roan, Jeremy Klepper, and Maggie McDonald. Please come to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Leanne Roan. I'm one of the teachers of the deaf in this district. I'm here to thank Dr. McNeely for suggesting that we need to have the superintendent search put on the agenda for the following meeting. However, it isn't on this agenda for this meeting. I really would encourage you to start this search because Dr. Patton is not going to be here forever. I've said this pretty much every time I come up here to speak. Her contract ends in June. We're in October. Time is running short. Another thing that I wanted to address tonight is that teachers are being encouraged to use apps, a lot of apps. A lot of us use our personal devices for these apps, to use these apps in our work. Yet almost no personal cell phones work in schools because the Wi-Fi does not work well. Internet providers can't work well in school buildings. I get no service from my cell phone
I don't even get Raptor alerts when we have drills. If it were an emergency, I would not get a Raptor alert. I don't have service. I would just hope that it got announced over the intercom, but I can't guarantee that would happen. That's a real concern. We have to think outside the box when it comes to connecting people at schools with those alerts. I get lots of Raptor alerts because I still get alerts from all over the district, but I don't know if they're timely or not. And I don't get the ones for my school, which I need to talk to someone about that so I can get alerts for my school, but I don't have service. And we're not allowed to use the district's network on our personal phones. Can we please maybe find a solution for that? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. So it's sad to see that Rockwell hasn't done the honorable thing and stepped down so we can get back to our children being the focus of this community and board. Not only that, the Vice Chair Certain has now come out and shown her disdain for Charlie Kirk after his murder. The murder of the nicest, most welcoming man in the world. All Charlie Kirk ever did was create environments for open debate and discourse to challenge and open minds. It was rhetoric like this board has vomited for years that got that young man, father, and husband murdered. The day he was murdered, Tina Certain said, "Experience is a good teacher, but it has a high price tag." Charlie Kirk paid a very high price today, unfortunately. What price was that, and what experience was it that he was supposed to learn from that? The experience that white boys need to keep their mouths shut? That 31-year-old uneducated white boy needs to keep his mouth shut? And it's not just Charlie Kirk. Tina Certain says, white people is her they. White people just got here. Sorry, this is hard to read. You need an interpreter to read her comments. Just got here trying to tell or complain about Ben here is doing. This is speaking about everyone in the community that's white. This is talking about Mr. Delaney. She won't listen to his advice. It goes in one ear and out the other, just like when she went to the state board meeting and lied through her teeth. She said in regards to Charlie Kirk's memorial that she didn't watch any of that Trump rally. How a 31-year-old uneducated white boy that she couldn't beat in a debate against his cardboard cutout. She says that it angers her that the feds and state have elevated him. Over 30 million people has watched his procession. This wasn't the state that did this. It's not only white people she doesn't like, it's Asians as well. She said since 1999, she hasn't gone to any Asian stores at all. She hates everyone that isn't like her or votes for her.
Thank you for your comments. I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't hear them from the dais.
My name is Maggie McDonald. I am a resident of Gainesville, Florida. Vice Chair Tina Certain had every right to make comments about Charlie Kirk. The First Amendment protects that right. I suspect that her comments do not demonstrate a prejudice against conservatives. I suspect her comments were in reaction to the racism and misogyny that Charlie Kirk made millions off of, spreading prejudice and hate throughout campuses and the media in the United States and abroad. An educated black woman has every right to challenge the vile claims of an uneducated white male. Here is one such claim made by Charlie Kirk. If we would have said 3 weeks ago that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Imagine how a Black woman would react on hearing those words. Freedom of speech is a cherished right of all Americans. Attempts to limit that right have occurred on both sides of the aisle. It is time we all respect the right to speak out about our ideas, our thoughts.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next three speakers are Jane McNulty, Melissa Cook, and Tim Martin. Please come to the podium.
Yet again, the MAGA Education Commissioner and the MAGA Board of Education are attacking, threatening, and bullying educators over their protected free speech on their private social media if it doesn't agree with MAGA views and values. They proclaim that educators must be professional, held to a higher standard, and nonpartisan because they preside over our children. Here's some free speech. The President of the United States, who also presides over our children, publicly said he hates his opponents and doesn't want the best for them. He has called non-MAGA enemy from within, vermin, evil, animal, traitor, demonic, crazy, bad, treasonous, un-American, sick, vicious, horrible, radical left, angry, lunatic. Held to a higher standard? No. Professionalism? No. Nonpartisan? No. A Fox News host publicly called for involuntary euthanasia of homeless people. Fired? No. The latest forbidden free speech regards those questioning the canonization of MAGA white Christian nationalist Charlie Kirk, who actually championed free speech. I don't need to repeat his racist and misogynistic remarks that he freely spoke while indoctrinating young people on college campuses. You can Google that. Let's be clear. According to MAGA, free speech is only for MAGA, but no one else. Prove me wrong.
Thank you for your comments.
Cook, I just want to know, what do you do at school board meetings? I've been to several meetings and this is all I get. I mean, when do you start doing school board stuff instead of listening to hatred and spewed lies and all this? It's over an hour. When are you going to talk about the school board? There's been 3 people up here that have had something to say about what your job actually is. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Tim Martin, and I'm a staunch advocate of free speech. However, free speech doesn't come without consequences. Those consequences manifest at the ballot box, they manifest online. The fact is, and here's some facts, this board has not rezoned in years, and this board continues to have overcrowded schools. This board cannot get a school bus to run on time. This school board is responsible for children in Newberry Elementary being at lunch at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's fact. That's absolute fact. It's also fact that I don't feel sorry for this board, and none of us should feel sorry for this board, because the reality is they have brought it on themselves. I didn't say the things that they said. They said it themselves. So I don't feel sorry for them. Who I feel sorry for is the teachers and the staff who have to deal with the repercussions. I know the repercussions because I get the emails, I get the text, I get the phone calls from this board staff, from these teachers, And it's also a fact that this board has been so financially irresponsible that they cannot even pay our teachers what they are worth. Yet they continue to ask our teachers to be social workers, test administrators, parents, disciplinarians over and over and over again. It is their fault. You know, I heard Ms. Vermont's comments earlier, and she sang the praises of Union County. It sounds like you all could take a lesson from Union County, if I'm not mistaken. But disparaging marks from this board, I don't feel sorry for you in the least. And I actually appreciate it because it moves forward charter schools, conversions around this county, and the exodus of public.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next three speakers are Madeline Austin, Stephanie Arguello, and Kara Ryan.
Hola, my name is Madeline Austin. I come from a long line of educators. I am proud that so many in my line are teachers and professors. We all attended public schools where we were taught how to think, not what to think. I want to applaud and thank every board member who was elected to this board. You have been doing a magnificent job in the face of what I consider persecution. What happened at the board meeting in St. Augustine regarding Jeremy Klepper's First Amendment rights, which were not denied, felt like a replay of the McCarthy era. The board had obviously made up their mind before the meeting even started. I am appalled by what is happening in our sacred public school system, and now in our beautiful city of Gainesville, where persecution continues by the MAGA followers and Christian nationalists. We are attempting to force people to resign, destroy their careers, their reputations. Have we learned nothing from history? Centuries of witch hunts and persecutions due to fear and misunderstanding and hatred. First Amendment rights are also sacred in a democracy. The hypocrisy of denying these rights because of political differences is absolutely shameful. I support Tina Certain 100%, as I did Sarah Rockwell, and shame, absolute shame on anyone who tries to deny their First Amendment rights. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
The board and superintendent, my name is Stephanie Arguello. I'm here actually struggling because I'm wearing multiple hats. I'm wearing a hat of representing Equality Florida, which is one of the state's largest LGBTQ advocacy organizations. But beyond that, I'm a proud graduate of Florida Public Schools back in the 1900s. According to my 17-year-old, I am a boomer, so I relate. But I'm a product of these schools. And the other hat that I wear is of a mother of a student that's in our schools right now. And just as we're hearing the commentary and the coded language that's talking about professionalism and free speech, you know, as someone who's, again, was taught, I was raised in these schools, so I know better than what we're hearing now. I want to stand here today, like everyone else or a majority of people, to support the board and know we're talking to boards across the state that this isn't unique. It feels unique, but unfortunately, this is what we're seeing across the state. We're seeing a circus, we're seeing these political games being played, and the people that are being impacted are our students. And what I want to encourage you to continue standing for is that we don't want to raise another generation of bullies. We already are seeing that. Unfortunately, that's what the adults are acting like, but we also need to remember that our kids are watching. And so we know what's right. We know we were all raised and taught that. And even though we're, being told to do something that doesn't make sense and that's different, I just want to encourage you to stand strong in doing what is right, which is standing up for students, focusing on the issues that are impacting our kids. And with every comment about someone feeling a certain way about supporting or not supporting, we have to remember that we have a diverse community, and a comment might hurt one and help another. And we have to find ways to have space for all of that conversation and not silence a voice that may not be as loud as the other one. So I want to encourage you to remain strong. I know that you do have the support of your community, and we do see what's happening.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, I'm Kara Ryan. I'm a third grade teacher at Wiles Elementary. In my 10 years of teaching, this has been the most chaotic and unorganized start to a school year. It's been incredibly stressful for teachers, and I honestly can't imagine how overwhelming it is for new teachers this year. You have thrown so many new things at us without proper training, while at the same time taking away resources that we really loved and relied on. Magma Math, focus boards, collaborative planning, a new ISIP platform, which doesn't work properly half the time, new communication platform, were all expected to be implemented immediately. We have these district-based assessments we're required to give, which feels like a waste of time because it's already things that we already have this information from our assessments in class. If we want to use a common assessment, why aren't we using something we're already doing? We're testing too much and taking so much time away from instruction. It's too much testing for the kids. On top of that, we have more meetings this year between collaborative planning meetings and faculty meetings. Every week there's something new, and it's more time being pulled from our planning. We're being asked to work several hours of unpaid overtime because it's physically impossible to get everything done in our contract hours, and that's with the early Wednesdays back. We keep saying that we're committed to the success of every student, and if you truly believe that, which I think you do, then you need to start listening to teachers. Before next year, you need to listen to us, listen to the people that are actually doing the work and what works for us and what doesn't, because we know. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Madam Chair, our final three speakers on non-agenda items are Joe Smith, Armando Grundy Gomez, and Travis Adair.
Good evening. My name is Joe Smith. I'm here tonight as a parent and a community member who believes in public education and in the people who make it possible. First, I want to say clearly we support this school board, especially the elected members of this board, and we recognize the impossible position you've been put in. We know that things could always be better, but we also know you're trying to do right by students while navigating the constant interference of a state government that seems more interested in politics than in children's lives. We see that. We appreciate you, and we stand with you. We're asking you tonight, please do not overcomply. Don't add restrictions or policies that go beyond what the law actually requires, because overcompliance doesn't keep anyone safe. It creates fear. It endangers our teachers. It isolates students. It tells young people that who they are is a problem to be managed instead of a life to be protected. So let's be clear, nothing has changed in the law. Our existing processes for protecting speech, ensuring parental involvement, and supporting students are already strong, already enforceable, and already working. The only thing that's changed is that the state is ramping up its overreach, not to help, not to support, but to intimidate. So to any state officials that should be in this room, but left quickly, or are watching online, welcome to our community. If you look around, you'll see teachers who care deeply, parents who show up, and board members who have always acted in good faith. You won't find censorship here. You'll find people trying to hold the line for children who deserve better than to be used as pawns in a political game. And to the board, please hold firm. Don't let fear or surveillance shape your decisions. Do not hand the state more power than it already has, and do not forget who you serve. The students in these classrooms, all of them, including certain students who have heard again and again that they are not safe, not welcome, not seen. You have the chance to prove otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Armando Grundy Gomez. I want to just begin something since we're talking about facts. I want to expand and continue on facts. Before there was a Mr. Klepper being kicked out of a meeting, there was an Armando Grundy Gomez. There was a Shanae Jackson who got kicked out. Matter of fact, Another fact is we were kicked out for also expressing First Amendment rights. I didn't see the outrage from those. Matter of fact, another fact is I served this country for 8 years, wore the uniform. I don't see Mr. Stassi or little Mr. Stassi coming down for a veteran who served this country honorably, in the 82nd Airborne, who fought for this country. Matter of fact, to fight for the people to say what they want to, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. It's also not lost on me that both parties are toxic to people that look like me. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's just one side of the aisle that folks want to say that there's racism in. Because it's not lost on me that there was the chair that preceded the current chair was friends with Mr. Martin. And she also stopped free speech. Her name was Diane McGraw. So let's not pretend that this is a mixed thing, it's just one side of the aisle. Because I also can see from our friends in the Democratic Party, the racism, the anti-Semitism that goes around the state. It is not lost on me, the anti-blackness that is preceding this. So we need to look at this for what it is. And I do want to talk about what we should talk about when it comes to promoting our teachers to the board. Why are we paying our substitutes, who you have a plethora of, a litany of substitutes in this county? You're paying them, they're doing the work of first-year teachers, and you're not paying them. You're not. So we have to do a better job of doing that. So there's a lot of things we can do. Cutting $20 million out of the budget, start with cutting your footprint in buildings and not just your staff. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Board. My name is Travis Adair. I'm a citizen here in Alachua County. I'm here to address something that's not on the agenda, and I'm kind of wondering why, which is the Newberry Elementary School and saving it. I'm hoping it's not on the agenda because you're still in the process of figuring out how to do this, but in case you're still deciding, I am here to tell you that you need to take legal action against the State Department of Education in regards to stopping this. You didn't listen to us when we said you shouldn't have begun negotiating contracts with them in the first place. You kind of try to go along with what the state's doing. The state's coming after you anyway. That's why we saw fascists like Stassi come here, yell at you, and then run away like a paper tiger. Regardless of whether you just try to play ball, they're coming after you anyway. The time to play ball is done. We need people who fight. I know I've heard from some of you before that you're worried that if you don't do what Meatball Ron in Tallahassee wants you to do, he's going to replace you with somebody who will. And that's a fair concern because we've seen the level of sycophant he's going to put us with. I am here to tell you, you're in a losing position because if you don't fight, we the people will be the ones removing you at the next available opportunity and putting in your seat someone who is willing to fight. Now it sucks, I know it's a losing position. You feel like you're going to be losing either way. So your choice becomes this. You can either go out fighting against fascists, or you can go out on your knees groveling for mercy, and you let history decide how you want to be remembered. Please do the right thing and fight to keep our schools, especially away from weirdos who are trying to take it over against all understanding of how democracy works, with losing votes and taking away this county's property and these children's futures. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Johnson, is that all of our non-agended speakers?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any speakers on agended items?
Yes, ma'am, we have two speakers. They are Taylor Gilfillan and Janet Evans. Please come to the podium.
All right, good evening again, board members. Taylor Gilfillan again. A couple of quick hits just on some things that folks have already said. Climate surveys. If we're not listening to our teachers and having a structure set up to listen to them, do that. Let's talk about school improvement plans, SIPs. Background on SIPs for folks who are not familiar with them. Florida statutes require them. There's a lot of technicalities there, but essentially we do it for all of our schools. And they are designed to be artifacts to review data, set goals, and create and monitor action plans to help improve the school. Those are being presented tonight on 43 separate attachments totaling over 1,000 pages. Those 1,000 pages contain lots of really important information. Goals, measurable goals. These schools are going to be striving towards, action plans, areas of focus, The documents themselves are just not enough. I'll just say it plainly. I'm going to tell you something that principals already know, which is that SIPs, the process, that the thing itself is not the product. The product is schools reaching their goals. And the way this is structured right now, I understand that it's a template that's like, I'm not fighting that we have to do these templates. I understand it's required by the state. What I am suggesting is we need a better way to organize, see clearly, and be transparent what these goals are, how we track them, and whether or not we know we're on track to reach them. Shared this all in an email. I really appreciate the 3 board members who responded back and let me know they got a chance to look at my thoughts. But again, 2 recommendations for the board to consider. 1, work with your superintendent on directing staff to create a SIP progress monitoring dashboard so you can see all the goals in one place. It'll really help you on your walks too, so you can go in and immediately know what schools and principals are focused on. And also 2, data chats were frequently mentioned in these SIPs. It's not clear to me that we have a consistent clear bar for what a data chat is. So I also recommend you working on staff to create a SIP, just a common tool for what those data protocols are. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, I'm Janet Evans again. I wanted to make a comment regarding the school improvement plans. I know that we're looking at cutting costs everywhere that we can and proving that, justifying all of the positions that we maintain or retain. I'd like to suggest that every district administrator at the county level provide 5 things every week that they have done to make the teachers' jobs easier. We need to do more boots on the ground. How are we going to help these teachers? And I think that if every single administrator at the district level is charged with finding at least 5 things that they can document that they have done to help our teachers, I think it's going to prove what positions are most worthy.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Johnson, is that all of our speakers? At this time, we are closing public comment. And now we will move on to the approval of the school board meeting minutes from September 2nd, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. McNeely. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vu. Are there any additions or changes to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to approval of the September 9th, 2025 minutes for the special school board meeting and public hearing for adoption of the 2025-2026 final budget and millage. Do I have a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Vu. Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Surden. Are there any changes or additions to that? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Before I move on, Ms. Surden, are you having trouble with your mic?
I think it's on, yes.
Okay. All right. Moving on to approval of the school board workshop minutes for September 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Surden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vu. Are there any changes or additions to those minutes?
So, Dr. Rockwell, Ms. Kemp, Ms. Green, did you see my email to you? Did you get that corrected in there, the retain? Okay. I haven't had a chance to check my email, that's why I asked.
All right. That's been corrected. Anything else? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the consent agenda, Dr. Patton.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the consent agenda as described in items 2 through 10.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Moved by Dr. McNeely. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vu. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to action items, Ms. Terry is going to present amendments to board policies 0173, board officers, 1128, employee contract, and 5136, student use of personally owned wireless devices. This is the second reading of those policies.
Good evening. So tonight we have second readings of Board Policy 0173, 1128, and 5136. We had the first reading on on July 31st, and then a public hearing on September 2nd. So this is the second reading. Would you like me to read the information that we changed on it, or just go through each one?
Do any board members want the changes read aloud?
No.
Just let me know if you do. Do any board members want the changes read aloud? No, you can present them.
All right, so we're on 0173, board officers, and this is the second read for this.
Second read, should we have a motion to adopt each of them, or can we do them all as three?
They can be adopted all at once. There doesn't
All at
have to
once.
be a separate vote if the board's okay with that.
Okay. So we have amendments to policy 0173, 1128, and 5136. Is there a motion to approve those changes to policy?
Sorry, Madam Chair. Move to approve the policy 173, 1128, and 5136 as presented with modifications.
Motion by Ms. Surden. Is there a second? Second. Second by Ms. Plavak. Is there any discussion of these policies?
I don't have any.
Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to action item 2, amendments to board policy 8407. Ms. Terry.
And this will be a first reading of this policy. And the revisions for this policy, 8704, are based on Statute 1470, and the revisions include a specific requirement for training for school safety security guards be conducted by the Sheriff's Office. Changes also clarify that the School Board of Alachua County is not using school guardians in their traditional schools, but charter schools may choose to use school guardians. FDLE reporting requirements are also included in this revision. This is the first reading for this policy.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. Is there a motion to approve the changes to policy 8407? Motion by Mrs. Surden. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Plavak. Is there any discussion or questions for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And action item 3, Ms. Terry, you're busy this evening. Our legislative platform.
All right. So together with parents, families, students, and staff, Alachua County Public Schools champions a legislative platform designed to promote student success and community strength. These recommendations reflect both the challenges we face locally and the opportunities to improve outcomes for all students statewide. Our first one is student attendance. Chronic absenteeism is one of the greatest barriers to learning. Current law only allows districts to intervene after 10 unexcused absences within a 90-day period. By then, the student has already missed nearly 2 full weeks of school and valuable learning time is lost. Our recommendation is amend Florida statutes to allow districts to initiate intervention immediately after the 10th absence, regardless of the 90-day window. This would empower schools to partner earlier with families to get students back on track. Our second legislative platform would be early learning. Research is clear. Students who start strong in kindergarten are more likely to succeed through graduation. Currently, 77% of children who complete VPK, voluntary pre-K, are kindergarten ready. But a half-day program creates barriers for working families and leaves gaps in instructional time. So our recommendation is provide support and increase funding for full-day voluntary pre-kindergarten programs statewide. The next one would be safe school accountability. The state has placed significant requirements on districts for safety and security, ranging from school hardening to personnel needs. Yet, funding has not always matched the mandate. Our recommendation, fully fund all state school safety requirements to ensure every student learns in a safe and secure environment. Number 4, education funding transparency. Families, taxpayers, and educators deserve clarity that state funds follow the student. Current scholarship programs operate under different rules than public school enrollment, creating risks of duplicative payments and inconsistent accountability. Recommendation: amend Florida statutes to provide uniform enrollment and payment procedures across both public and scholarship programs, student verification requirements to prevent duplicate payments, stronger safeguards ensuring funds are used appropriately. For our board members, this would require that organizations such as Step Up for Students to follow the same enrollment procedures mandated for public schools. And our fifth one is sovereign immunity. Florida's sovereign immunity cap provides a balance between protecting public resources and offering recourse to families. Our recommendation: maintain the current statutory gap with no further increases, ensuring that scarce education dollars remain focused on classrooms and students, and to ensure there is no cap beyond that amount. So in closing, these priorities, attendance, early learning, school safety, funding transparency, and sovereign immunity, reflect our shared mission to create the best possible learning conditions for students. By advocating for these changes, Alachua County Public Schools is standing with families, staff, and the broader community to ensure students' success remains at the center of Florida's legislative agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Terry, and to all of the staff who worked on this. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Ms. Surden.
Well, thanks staff for kind of coming up with something since we didn't have a chance as a board to really come up with anything. I think this is a good starting point, and maybe if we, after this, and we see what comes out of our legislative committee with FSBA at the end of the week, we might have to adjust this. But right now, I'm okay with going forward with this, especially the attendance one.
Any other board member comments? Mr. Vu?
Yeah, I just want to echo that, just thanking staff for putting this together for us, and I agree with these priorities, and again, I think it's something too that you'll find agreement on all these from across the state, and yeah, they're really good, thank you.
Again, thank you to staff. For those of you in the audience or watching at home, I wanted to give a little bit of background. In the past, the legislative session has started later, and we have met with our state legislative delegation in January. And typically, the Florida School Board Association has a legislative committee that issues priorities in November. And that gives our board time to workshop their priorities and consolidate them with our own and create our specific list to bring to our legislative delegation. Because the legislative session is starting earlier this year, we are meeting with our legislative delegation in October, which was a bit of a surprise to everyone. So our typical schedule for developing legislative priorities was not met. Typically, we would have had recommendations from the Florida School Board Association and then workshopped those. They typically have more priorities than we present to our legislative delegation. So Dr. Patton and staff, I met with them about this. They worked very hard on coming up with these and used previous FSBA recommendations, as well as talking with districts around the state about what they were doing and making sure that we have priorities that are important to our district, but also will be important to many others, because as you can imagine, when the state legislature is looking at things, they're not looking at what matters to Alachua County, they're looking at what's going to help all of the students in Florida. And I just wanted to make that clear for the public, because typically those of you who follow this have seen us workshop it in the past. Dr. Patton.
And just to say also, I did speak with Andrea Messina from FSBA too, so she gave us a little bit ahead, because like you mentioned, they're not ready to do theirs, but she at least gave us some higher input, so we actually reached out to them and to the Florida School Board Superintendent folks too. So try to get a good collective opinion.
Yes, and you did mention that to me, and I forgot to say it. I also am happy with these as a starting off point, and as Ms. Surden said, once we have the FSBA recommendations, we can always revisit and revise this, but I think this is a great starting off point for meeting with the legislative delegation this month. So thank you, Ms. Terry, Dr. Patton, and all the staff who worked on this. Are there any other board comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I don't think we had a motion.
Did I have a?
No,
oh,
but that's okay.
Mr.
Move with staff
Delaney.
move
You know
staff
what?
recommendation.
I apologize. It's been a few months since I've chaired a
Move with
meeting.
staff recommendation.
All right. Ms. Surden moves to approve the legislative platform recommended. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Vu. Now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And now we are moving on to our ACEA updates. Ms. Ward, our union president, is here.
Well, thank you. Is it on? Yeah. Yep. Hi, I'm Carmen Ward. I'm the president of Alachua County Education Association. And thank you, Chair Rockwell, board members, staff, for your attention and the opportunity you give the union to share what's going on with the union. And I do want to say that I have the privilege of representing most of the employees in the public school system. And educators are bus drivers, they're food service, they are the paraprofessionals, they are 100 job categories, plus teachers, plus counselors, media specialists, and it has been a great privilege. This is my last year as president, because at the end of June, my term will end, and someone else will be the president of this amazing 50-year-old ACEA. And so I just am starting to announce that because there is going to be elections. There are going to be new officers elected. All of our officers are up for re-election at the end of my term. So anyway, I just wanted to say what a remarkable honor it is to be able to speak collectively for the amazing talent that we have in this district with our educators. And I want to speak a little bit about teachers because this week was the International Day of the Teacher, and National Education Association was celebrating that. But I want to say every time we have a highly effective teacher walk out the door, it is a tragedy to our district. And that is happening because our teachers are overburdened. My phone, it is almost pandemic level crisis in our district right now with teachers not having enough time to do their job. They want to be successful with every student. The mission, the students are the most important thing to us as teachers. And I say that because I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher president. This is my 35th year in public school education. I was in the classroom for 27 years. I know who my people are. And the teachers care more about the children than anyone in our legislature. That's for sure, because we are not funded appropriately. I do want to say that the school board's bargaining team and the union bargaining team has come to a tentative agreement on salary this year, and I do appreciate the board's team working with us, and we are still ironing out language. The next time we go for instructional language is October 15th, and for education support professional language is October 11th, but we will make progress, and we all intend to get a tentative agreement completed so that we can get it ratified and get people their increases, because in our budget, we show people respect with money, but we also need respect with working conditions. And there are many places that the contract, the collective bargaining agreement, which is the labor contract, needs to be enforced and needs to be respected. Like, for example, there's only one open house first semester, according to our collective bargaining agreement. However, the district has set up a whole litany of magnet open houses during first semester. And so it makes the teachers look bad if they want to enjoy their collectively bargained right to one open house first semester, because they care about their magnet programs. And that was set up without their consultation, which is not wise. Teachers need to be part of the discussion when decisions are being made. And I have brought this to our assistant superintendent as a problem. It was not resolved well. And I want to say this, we have funding, we have bukus of 1 mil funding that covers magnet programs. There is no reason to ask teachers to volunteer their time when they are magnet teachers that are funded by the 1 mil. And there's $4 million that weren't budgeted to be spent. So I'm just saying there are a lot of concerns and issues and demoralization of highly effective professionals, and we are going to see them continue to walk out the door for greener pastures. And I don't want to see that happen. I know this board doesn't want to see that happen, and so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Ms. Ward, for those updates. Now we will have board member and superintendent announcements. Dr. McNeely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to congratulate Coach Duma and his students from Buchholz High School who journeyed to Cary, North Carolina. I may have said the wrong city, but they were in North Carolina for the cross-country track team event. And we want to congratulate those students for taking Alachua County all the way to North Carolina and doing an excellent job. We certainly support your efforts and we look forward to the next event. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. McNeely. Ms. Plavek.
So I asked the superintendent when I could make some comments, because they're not really announcements, but she said this was the time that I could make comments, correct? Yes. Okay, so I want to address three things that I think is important to bring up. Number one, somebody brought up in the audience about, in fact, the commissioner brought up about we were mandated after Dr. Rockwell had to go to the July 31st meeting about having this public First Amendment rights of elected officials and constituents that Mr. Delaney, we had a special workshop on it. We had to attend it, and we had to acknowledge that we attended it. I think we all are very upset that we've gone through this again. However, I know that Ms. Certain is also acknowledges when Mr. Delaney, we asked Mr. Delaney, if we want to put something on Facebook, what do we have to say? And the last page of the PowerPoint says, all we have to say is this is the personal page of Janine Playback. The views expressed here are strictly my own. I think if we had said that, if Ms. Certain had said that on her post, we wouldn't even had any of this discussion, because according to Mr. Delaney, and you can correct me, Mr. Delaney, if that's wrong, because this was on social media, that you said that it's a disclaimer to include on your personal social media accounts. So I think if that had been put there, we wouldn't have had an hour of comments about that. Is this correct? Is that all we have to put on if somebody wanted to express their First Amendment rights? That's what my interpretation was when we had this workshop.
Mr. Delaney, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. That is a recommended best practice from a U.S. Supreme Court decision that gives elected officials more control over their social media accounts and who is able to comment on them, or the ability to potentially remove commenters or comments. That was the intent of my advice, that it does give public officials more control over their personal accounts if they have that information on there.
And would be less subject to scrutiny, correct? If they put that on there? Or if any of us did that?
I don't think I can make that promise, but
Okay.
I can say that it does provide you more control over your personal social media accounts.
Okay, all right, so that was my interpretation when we had the workshop. I'll leave it at that. The second thing I wanted to bring up was when I watched the state board meeting on 9/24, I honestly was really upset when I found out that we missed a deadline for SESIR reporting. And I didn't even know what that was, frankly, because I've only been on the board since April. But what really struck me, and when I got the letter, when Dr. Patton got the letter from the commissioner and she responded to it, we really didn't have an excuse, which was acknowledged because it was over Labor Day, but we had known we had to submit this and we had never missed this submission. But I think what made it so egregious to me was that when Chair Ryan Petty said, this really evolved because his daughter was murdered at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and this is why this reporting evolved, then I felt horrible. And I know the director feels horrible also about missing this, but we shouldn't have missed it. We shouldn't have missed it. End of discussion. So I think the excuse was, shouldn't even have been in there. Labor Day weekend, who cares? We should have known about that. So that was another ding, especially at the state board meeting when they said we were the only district out of 67 districts that missed the deadline. So, but the reason it evolved, I felt horrible. I didn't even know that his daughter was murdered. And the last thing is I am totally on board with Ms. Ward about teachers. And we've all received that email from Ms. Rivera, who's taught for 17 years. We got this yesterday, and she couldn't be here tonight to read it, but she actually validated about how Magna Math is hard for her to, I'm not going to read the whole letter, but about Magna Math and focus boards and collaborative planning. And they're overwhelmed, and there's also this Amira iStation. We haven't been properly trained on this new update, but keep in mind this is yet another program and new requirement we must adapt to. I'm also choosing not to discuss the security awareness trainings, the ESE certification requirements, the reading endorsements, the behavior presentations, and all the other things we have already on our plates. We are drowning, and I'm asking for help. And I concur with Ms. Ward and with Ms. Spencer and Ms. Evans and all the teachers. As a teacher for 17 years in this district, as a current teacher in a charter school for 6 years now, and running an academic health program, I know what it's like, but I also know our teachers need support. And if all these programs are fantastic, if we can get the support for them. So I think our goal within our legislative goals kind of align with some of this, and I want us to see that instead of rolling out so much, we need to give them help. We need to give them support. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plavak. Mr. Vu.
I do agree with a lot of what Ms. Playback said, but I'll save kind of what my asks are for that for the next part of the meeting. But just in terms of like the announcements, I did get to read in Karen Melvin's class this week, and just thank you for that opportunity, Ms. Melvin. It was really great. It was great to be back in to the classroom and just see the enthusiasm. And your class was just so well behaved and very participatory and seemed really engaged. I read The Little Old Lady Who Wasn't Afraid of Anything. Spoiler alert, she's kind of afraid. I also got to march in the Newbury Homecoming Parade, and actually just thank you to everybody who was there, who was out. Thank you to the staff of Newbury High School, who's always just so gracious and everything that. And thank you to the Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Chad Scott for letting me march with them as well. Yeah, that whole biker performance for the police on the bikes, I just was super cool. I could tell it was super cool for every other kid or kid at heart who got to see it too. So that was just really nice to do. And then I'll save the rest of it for the next section. Thank you.
Mrs. Surden.
Thank you, Dr. Rockwell. Welcome back. Glad to have you back in the room with us.
Thank you.
So I'd like to congratulate our Education Foundation, who recently celebrated their 30th anniversary of their Take Stock in Children scholarship program. They had a wonderful program that myself and Dr. McNeely, Dr. Patton, and some staff, I think, and Mr. Boo, we were with them last week at that. That was a really wonderful program, and their goal was to raise $30,000 to benefit the scholarship fund for Take Stock. So it was their 30th anniversary, and I think at night they did raise the $30,000. So congratulations to all of them. They recognized some volunteers that have been with them for a number of years. I'd like to thank those volunteers and congratulate them on their awards, as well as thanking the residents of Oak Hammock and them for their endowment that they are now raising money for. And secondly, September was National Literacy Month, and went out and did some reading as well over at the Boys and Girls Club with Miss Danielle Dixon Brown. I always get her name mixed up. She teaches at second grade at Terwilliger. And what is really good is that she works after school at the Girls and Boys Club, but she also has about 7 students that are with her in her classroom that are also with her at the Boys Club. So they get like a double dose of her, and they were just a delightful group of young people. And lastly, I'd like to just kind of, Ms. Playback, since you brought up my comment. So I do have a separate page that is personal. and I have a page that I share district information as school board member of Alachua County. At the advice of our attorney, I do share things that are related to the district. I keep that platform a little bit locked down, where I don't have to worry about receiving any feedback or whatever from interaction, of have to worry about deleting comments or anything, but it is strictly for my school board business that I do. The page that I made the comment on was my personal page. And so you won't get it, it shows that I didn't get any less scrutiny, but I made it in my personal capacity on a Sunday afternoon with my personal device that I spend my own money on. So, and I felt that I made it, I leaned into and made it because I do have a First Amendment right, recognizing that I did not give that up after the training that we had. We took part in after the August 20th meeting. I made my comment under that guise there. And some folks may agree with it, and some folks, as I say, did not agree with it, but those are my feelings. I didn't purport to speak for you, Mr. Vu, Dr. McNeely, or Dr. Rockwell. Those are Tina Certon's views. And they were taken out of context, but I don't feel like I have to justify that. But I just thought I'd let you know that I did speak in my personal capacity, not for you or the board, okay? So don't ever worry about that. I don't go to do that. When I go out and I speak, it's for myself unless I'm representing the board, and it would be in the absence of our chair. When she wasn't here, I did speak a couple times when Dr. Rockwell was out recovering from surgery. But whenever I go out and I speak, I make it known that those views are my own views and not from the views of the board. Thank you. And again, welcome back to my colleague.
Thank you, Ms. Cerdan. I also read the email from Ms. Rivera and heard several teachers this evening express similar concerns with feeling overwhelmed. And without belaboring the point, I know that you received that email as well. She had several suggestions in that email that were easily actionable to reduce the workload burden while still moving forward with some important district priorities. And I think that those are really actionable and worth considering. And I hope that our superintendent and staff will consider those because, she didn't just complain, she offered us some really helpful ideas. And that's all I have this evening. Did Dr. Patton, did you?
Yeah, just a couple things. I too want to say congratulations to the Ed Foundation. 30 years is a long time. That's a big no. So it's happy to be part of that celebration. Also enjoyed getting over to Citizens Field where we had two football teams playing against each other. So that's always a great treat, but also to spend a little bit of time for each team's band parents. It's just a group of people that we see the bands, but not always the parents. They're not in the stands cheering, they're in the back doing a lot, so it was a real great joy to chat with all of them. And as you saw a picture up there too, just to thank Gettle Toyota for their third year of donating $25,000 and then $5,000 later that afternoon to Services for Us, and then also another $5,000 to the Ed Foundation. So that was a $35,000 day, and we are very grateful for all of our partners that do things like that just provide lots of opportunities. And then also it's National Principals Month. So just want to say thank you to our principals, and that we'll see them next Tuesday with a special little thank you. And the last one is Early Happy Bosses Day. It's October 16th. So just saying, happy Bosses Day a little bit early.
All right, thank you, Dr. Patton. And that concludes our board meeting. Thank you. Oh,
To Mr. Vu, I think Mr. Vu might have had a request.
requests. Oh, they were not separated in my. Okay, Mr. Vu.
Just back to specific requests, yes. So, everyone got Ms. Rivera's email, and I agree again with a lot of what she had to say and her suggestions. And just on that, one of my thing is too, and she mentions this, is that we often have teachers independently problem solve things that don't need to be independently problem solved. And when it comes to focus boards, I'm really hearing that a lot because it's become such a burden on all of our teachers, especially when they're using a district curriculum or district lessons that, ultimately have been approved by the state, we purchased. And then it's that, okay, now everybody do this on your own. So to me, it's just like someone at the district could totally create these focus boards. I know one of the issues is we do need a secondary math TSA to start help supporting those teachers, at least at the secondary level. And so that's my one ask. I did mention the Magnet Open House to you early this week, and just on that, and just our request too is just reporting back to the board, just make sure that what was the solution for these teachers, because again, you know, Ms. Ward is 100% correct. They cannot be forced to do this. And some schools are handling it way better than others in terms of comp time or switch out days and things like that. Because, you know, as somebody who was a former team leader in a Magnet, we all care so much about these programs. We want them to survive. We know they bring a lot of money into the schools that they're in and provide jobs. And so I know they feel that sense of importance too. One thing too, and I know we've brought this up, and I brought it up with you before, is that the long-term subpay, I know Mr. Gomez brought it up here to us, and I know we've had conversations about it, but that just from my looking at it, it's that ever since the state started investing TISA money into teacher salaries, we have kept the long-term subpay the same back when we were paying teachers like $36,000 a year. So long-term subs are getting paid about 26 something an hour still. And that rate hasn't moved at all, and that's just purely a district decision. So my ask is that that get rectified. And I know in some cases, in some other counties, they do things like for the first 2 weeks or first month of a long-term sub, maybe they get that lower rate. But after that, after a principal is very much sure they want to keep them, then they get the full teacher pay. Or maybe we implement something to where they'll get that back pay at the rate. But, you know, it's my opinion, and I imagine it's shared by a lot of the board, is that every long-term sub is basically doing the job of full-time teacher, so they should get that starting teacher pay. And those are all my requests. Thank you.
Did anyone else have a request that wasn't brought up previously? All right, hearing none, our meeting is adjourned at 8:06 p.m.